incredibly nervous right now. I can't even tell you. I always get nervous before my stand-up gigs, but there are like a lot of people here. Welcome to the Trigger Warning Comedy Show. I am your entertainment and your reason for your next therapy appointment. And if you don't laugh, you'll be the reason for mine.
What got you into comedy?
I was raped. You've probably heard the statistic that 60 to 70% of victims know their attackers. So obviously, if I had been willing to go through life completely alone, this never would have happened. So he picked me up at my house, which, God, looking back on, I'm like, oh God, he planned this whole thing. He picked me up at my house, so I didn't have a way home other than from him. I thought he was just being polite. So we had dinner and a couple drinks at Maxie's. I hadn't eaten anything all day because I was working, I was exhausted, I was running around, trying to do an awesome job at work. So I hadn't eaten anything, I was really tired. Maxie's was my first meal of the day. Then we went up to Regent Lounge, which is in the Statler Hotel, had a couple more drinks there, and then we were like, I was like, I think I'm gonna maybe go home. He's like, oh, well, I can't drive right now. So, and I had a few too, so I'm not thinking clearly. So anyway, we decided to go to Dunbar's. Because we had both gone there, a lot of students, we'd gone there together. Dunbar's is the hockey player bar, so that's where we spent a lot of time, because that's how I knew him, was through hockey. I remember texting a friend of mine kind of being like, ugh, I had too much to drink, I want to go home, but feeling stuck because I didn't want to inconvenience my friend to come out and get me. I was hoping that he would volunteer, like he would be like, here's $20 for a cab. Like that was what made the most sense in my mind at that point. And he didn't. What he did was order me a Long Island iced tea. We took a cab back up to the hotel where Sam was staying, and I just thought I was going to be able to sleep it off. And I remember getting into bed, and I remember the bed was really, really comfortable, and the pillows were really, really comfortable. And then I remember regaining consciousness when he was raping me. The rape happened at the Statler, and that was the only way I was going to get to stay in a hotel that nice. I should do a Yelp review. Sexual assault has never been more luxurious. The 300 thread count Egyptian cotton sheets are so smooth and soft, you won't get any friction burns on your wrists or knees. The one thing that I always, every single time I step in front of the microphone, the one thing that I fear is that people are not going to laugh. I just have to say that it is a really good thing that he did not knock me out. Because I totally would have had that kid out of spite. And also, because with college admissions rates shrinking, I think Cornell is at 14.6% with this class? 14.6% and shrinking, yeah, thank you. It's getting harder and harder to get into college. So, as a double legacy, with a hockey-playing dad, this would have been my best shot at getting a kid into Cornell. Can you imagine that application essay? Ever since I was conceived at the Statler, I've been destined for the School of Hotel Administration. Yeah. Thank you. Now at this point, I just want to remind you that this is the only time in your life that you can laugh at a rape victim and not be an asshole. So take advantage of that. I also have to complain, I didn't tell the whole truth during the investigation. Yes, dead silence, especially from the undercover cops who are here making sure nobody causes any trouble. I didn't tell the whole truth. I said when they asked me, why I didn't want to have sex with him, why I said no, I said, well, it's because he's married. What a gem, right? But that's not all of it. I also find him physically repulsive because he gained a lot of weight since college, and you know that you've been reading too many body-positive feminist blogs when you're afraid of being thought of as shallow and mean for fat-shaming your rapist. He played hockey when he was here. He was on the hockey team. And he was the guy who, on the power play, they would put him in front of the net to knock in rebounds because he's really good at forcing things into places people don't want them to go. So I was talking to a lawyer, and I got to the part where I mentioned his wife, and the lawyer gasped. He goes, "Oh, he's married?" Yes, counsel, that's the real tragedy here. I joined the Ithaca Women's Softball League, and they're so nice, they gave me my own jersey. It says fresh meat on the back. And that's when I realized, with love, that this is a huge lesbian pickup scene. My act is really evolving. So I do, in addition to the comedy that I do about my rape, I have a non-rape set. Which would explain why our uniforms were flannel shirts and cargo shorts, and why they held me down and gave me this haircut. I was really angry for a long time about what happened to me, and it kind of turned into this, like, are you kidding me? This is such an egregious violation of my human rights, and I'm supposed to take this, I'm supposed to be silent. And it was just a way of processing things that I guess made it accessible to me somehow. And I think that humor is a great way of taking really tough topics, taboo topics, and turning them into something that we can talk about.
What's really powerful is seeing the way that something like this could not only not be offensive, but also broach an issue in a way that really expands the way that people can react to it. And it's not just you're sitting in an auditorium having someone preach at you about why you need to be an active bystander. This is really a way to understand victim experiences, survivors' experiences in a way that is really progressive. And I think that this is going to be something we'll see a lot more actually.
There's nowhere else in the world that I think that anybody's doing this, and I think that it takes a lot of strength and courage to do this, and come out and share a story like this that's so that could really bring back really bad feelings and things like that.
I think it's okay for me to joke about my own rape, and I think that comedy is best when it punches up instead of down. Kind of not making fun of people who are weaker than you or things that are weaker, but making fun of culture, of those who are in power. I think that that's really where the power of comedy comes. She didn't come right out and say it, but one of the reasons that they didn't prosecute, one of the prosecutors said to me was, "We don't think we can get a conviction." She believed me that it happened. She thinks he did it. She thinks the guy's an absolute narcissistic sociopath, but she said, "We don't think we can get a conviction." And that, I think, really speaks to people's attitudes about what rape looks like, who commits rape, and it's still, I think that we're slowly moving out of it, but we're still in the phase where we think it's a strange man jumping out of the bushes or breaking into someone's house. And most rapes aren't that. I had known my rapist for 15 years. I hope that it can be something that victims aren't ashamed of. because I think right now it is something that people feel ashamed of, and it's not your fault, it's not my fault, it's the rapist's fault, and that's the only person whose fault it is. Don't give up and find your power somewhere, because you have it, and I found my power through comedy, and I took that anger and I took that outrage and I put it into something that I hope raises awareness and makes people laugh, and maybe your power is art, maybe it's music, maybe it's none of the above, maybe it's something completely different, maybe it's something that doesn't have anything to do with expressing how you feel about your assault, but find your power, it's there, and it's what makes you you.